In this video, I'm going to try to make a wall-mounted rack for some laptops that I have in my classroom. So I'm just going to start with this model of a laptop that I made that we have. I recommend anytime you want to make a holder for something to create that thing first, and then you can make multiple versions of holders for it. I think I'm on about version 5 from scratch here. So we're going to start a new design. And I am going to first of all, you have to give it a name, otherwise you're going to get an error. So if you save it, and if I call wall laptop holder, okay, save. Now I can actually bring the laptop in from a different file as a live object, and it is laptop rack. And it's going to bring me back to that file, and I need to select what I want. And so I'm going to bring in everything. 7 bodies, that's good. They're all a little disconnected, so that's fine. Okay, now it brings me back to the new one. Okay, the wall laptop holder. So I'm going to check my orientation. I like to get my object kind of in the way that I want it. I kind of want to be looking the front this way. So if I rotate it about the red one here, I think that might work. So let's try a move, and it's going to be a rotate. The axis is going to be the x-axis, and then I'll try 90 degrees, see if it locks onto 90. Oh, I didn't select my objects yet, so hold on. Object select. Let's just try it over again. So I'm going to select everything first and then do the function. That might be a little easier. Rotate axis, once again, is X. And now I do my 90, 90. And let's see if that's what I wanted from the front. Yeah, so I want to actually look at this part because the ventilation happens here as well as on the left side. Pardon me, the back. This part, there's ventilation there. So in this orientation, it has kind of the best of both worlds. The heat can go upwards and out from a wall. Okay, so I'm going to make a holder for it in this orientation, and this is the part of the charging cord, so I don't interfere with that. Let's try making it from the side. I'm going to sketch on this plane here, looking at it from the side, and I'm going to build basically something that goes underneath of the laptops. I'm definitely going to need just lines here. I'm going to need a lot of strength to hold these laptops. So I want some sort of angled support, I would think, and then definitely a vertical line against the wall. Let's try that again. So there we go, 90 degrees. Okay, so something like that. And when I first build things, I tend to do it very roughly. And at some point, it's just going to create a flat bottom that goes around the laptop. And then let's see if we can close it off. Okay. So now I notice some things are perpendicular, some are not necessarily, depending on what it thinks you're trying to do. It tries to read your mind. I can make sure that some things are perpendicular. That's good. Those ones already got that, and that's looking pretty good. But I made it way too big, so let's bring this in, bring that in. Now we're looking a bit more like it. I can start to dimension these things relative to my laptop. So dimension 1 line 2, can I just grab, I could try projecting geometry, which is under create and project geometry. And so I can select that line and that line perhaps, and maybe even a line at the bottom that I could refer to and say okay to that. And now I can dimension from one side to the other. I don't know exactly how much clearance I need. Let's say 2 millimeters. And the other side as well, 2 millimeters. And maybe from the bottom, I'll do 2 as well with that projected geometry line. 2. So that'd be a pretty snug fit. I might want more than that later, and I can always go back and change it. So I'm not worried about it. Especially for prototyping, I tend to err on the side of being kind of on the smaller side, and then I can see if I can break it, and then if I can, I know I got to go bigger, but if I can't break it and it's already solid, then maybe I've got it right, and I can save material and time. I want it taller for sure. Not quite sure how tall it needs to be, but we don't want to cover the heat, so I don't want it to snap and fall off. So let's just try that for now, and let's say finish sketch. So right now I can extrude that bit. Actually, I made the backing too thick. I'm going to go back in my sketch. Let's dimension the backing as well. Let's go with 5. Let's see if we can be nice and sleek. This does seem a bit overkill now. Maybe something like that. Okay, so we can give that a go and press finish sketch. Now I can extrude that shape. It looks like I'm kind of going from the center, so let's go symmetric and see if that works. And I can change my perspective and sort of see it's got these 2 arrows here, and it does go symmetrically. So based on the width of my laptop, or do I just want a section in the middle? If you want to do the whole thing at once, it's probably bigger than the print bed of, I might be able to do under 190, might be able to do it. And I would want walls on this. The other option is to make it in 2 separate pieces that drill. They could be on either side, they could be in the middle. There's many options. So for now, let's just try a full design. I guess I could probably cut it up. And new body is good. So there we go. So we have a full bracket around it. And I could make a sketch on a face like this to kind of close a shape in. Let's see if it'll let me do that shape, and I think it is letting me. And so finish the sketch and maybe extrude that like a couple millimeters. Let's see if I can get everything. That looks pretty good. If I go 3 millimeters, that gives me a little wall. Join is good. All right, got an edge on that one. And maybe I leave one side open. Maybe I don't. Will depend. So maybe for now, I could leave that side open so somebody could slide it in from the side, but it can't fall through on the cord side. If somebody tripped over the cord, for example, it could not come out this side. Okay. So this is reasonably good. I would want some way of attaching it to the wall. So my go-to is probably putting some screws in the wall and then having some notches to slide this onto. So for that, I believe I'm going to want more space in the back. So what if I did 10 millimeters there, beef that up a little bit, and now I can sketch on this surface here, and I can make, I like the number 4, I don't know if that's perfect, but if I made 4 of these little holders, the dimensions, you could measure your screws, but just for the time being, I might go with 20 millimeters for that one, and then make another circle that is above it, and it's smaller, it's 10. That would be for the actual shaft of the screw, and this is sort of so the screw head can fit in. And I want them to be coincident, first of all, vertically aligned for their centers. That's good. And then I want coincident constraint for the edge of this circle and the middle of that circle. Sounds good. A little too high maybe for my liking. See how that feels. It looks good. Okay, so I can extrude, I think that's fine. I can extrude that. Get all 3 little bits, go backwards by, say, 2 millimeters, and make a cut. That's good. And then I want to sketch again, but this time on that brand new surface that's been indented a little bit. I'm going to sketch again right on it, and I'm going to make a place for the screw head to then go. I can snap to that center, give it the same 20 that we had as the first circle, and then I just need a couple of lines on either side. Make sure they're vertical. Another one over here, vertical line. Yep. And now I can use my tangent constraints to make sure that line is tangent to that, and this one is tangent to that. And now, as long as I've gone far enough, which I did, I can trim excess away. Perfect. And now I think that should work. It's a little tricky to get exactly what you want extruded, but I want kind of everything. I want that, I want that, I want, see, it's hard to select some of this other guy. That little guy, yes. So I can't select it, but if you turn the view slightly, so you can kind of get underneath there a little bit, it seems to be able to be chosen. Same thing for that part. That's good. And let's go back, say, another 3. I'd have to measure the screws again just to be sure, but for now, that's fine. And that creates a neat little pocket for the head of the screw. You probably want a flat head, wood kind of screw that could slide in there. So if you have a thicker screw, you might need to adjust those numbers a little larger. I think at this point, I want to get 4 of these. So there's a nice little rectangular pattern here where I'm going to pattern the features I've just extruded. I think I need both of them. I don't want the whole thing though. Let's try it again. Rectangular pattern, and it's not a body but a feature. Let's see if that gets the whole thing. Let's see if that works. The axis number 1 would go to the right. Axis number 2 is down. And extent or spacing is up to you. I'm going to try spacing of, it was almost like 200 across. If I tried 180, no, that's not far enough. So try 300. Okay, so you can stretch it with the arrow as well. Just for now, try to get it kind of symmetrical with the other one. Doesn't have to be perfect at this point. Or if I want it perfect, I'm going to cancel this. I like the fact that I was seeing one of the planes was perfect. I think we are operating across the center of one of these planes. Let's try a mirror. If not, I'll go back to the rectangular pattern, mirror, and same thing. Features. Zoom in maybe to catch the feature. That looks good. Mirror plane. Can I select? Oh, looks good. Yeah. Let's try this one. Ah, that's very nice. Okay. Done. Oh, it disappeared. So let's investigate that. Mirror plane. It looks like it's creating it. There's a preview here. Oh, but maybe it's only got the one feature. So it's not getting the first extrusion. I think I can select it down here. Maybe I need to hold down the shift key or the control key. Ah, it's control. So control gets both of those extrusions that I did. And voila, that's both features. Excellent. Now I could do either a rectangular pattern or I could mirror on a different plane. So I could show you a trick here where I could make my own mid-plane from, oh, that's on an angle. That won't work. Okay, so I think I would just do rectangular pattern there. It's going to be features. Once again, let's see if I can get everything. So that's got one extrusion. If I hold control, there we go. And I also want this one too, but that gets the whole thing all at once. I think the axis for the pattern is downwards. And instead of extent, I'll do spacing. I'm not sure the number, 50 or something, and see what that looks like. Oh, we don't want 50 quantity, just 2. Oh, it's calculating that. 2 and 50 millimeters, what I was thinking. That's not too bad. I could go farther, possibly. Let's try that. It's close to 70. Okay, 70. All right, that looks nice. I think that is something that I could prototype. I think I would probably do it in 2 separate sections on either side. I don't think it necessarily needs the middle portion, as long as it was bolted to the wall. So I could do quite a number of things at this point. The simplest would be to sketch on this surface. I'm going to actually turn off the laptop. There's a number of objects that I have, which I suppose I can group it, but right now I just want body 8. And if I did a rectangle, I could probably get rid of a lot of this and lean it down. So if I now go linear constraint, I can line this up with the top. And bottom, same thing, linear with the bottom, nice. Then I could dimension it from either side. So that is close to 70. So I could try that. And then this one, make it match 70. So at this point, I could extrude a big cut right through. So instead of a new body, I would want to cut. And I believe I can just say all and maybe flip the direction, and that should do it. And we can make sure it's not cutting the laptop yet, just body 8. If the laptop were turned on, I think it would try to cut through it, and I don't want that. So do I like that? Let's turn the laptop back on. I can make a little group for future reference so I don't have to click all of them. And now I can select all these derived entities and right click on it to put it into the group. I have to select my group, laptop, and OK. And now the whole thing can be easily turned on and off. That's much nicer. Now this is something that looks very easily 3D printed. You may want to have a blocker on both sides. I'm not quite sure, whichever works. But I think that's very doable. You could even make it more lean than that. It probably doesn't need to be that wide. I think that is something that's pretty good. All right, so I think I'll pause there. If you want to make more laptops, which I want to do for my classroom, I've got 32 laptops. I would want to make this scalable so I can just have more and more laptops in a rectangular pattern. But I think that's all we have for now.